So this is interesting to me because you see the highlights, right? And the ankle breaking crossovers, the pull up jumpers, the ridiculous finishes. You see Paige Bueckers, the number one pick, doing her thing. But then you also see the other stuff, the hard bump that sends her to the floor, the double teams that show up the second she even thinks about crossing half court, the kind of physicality that has fans and coaches getting vocal, and everyone sees the hard fouls and the defensive attention. But what if this isn't just about playing tough defense? It feels like a coordinated test, and the real question isn't just about whether Paige can get a bucket, but whether she can handle the combined weight from opponents, the media, and even the legends of the game, who all seem to be trying to figure out if she'll break. And it feels like everything started to boil over after one particular night because on August 20th, 2025, we know 5 days ago, according to this video, which I'll be uploading, Paige had that brilliant 44-point game against the Los Angeles Sparks, tying the all-time rookie record, scoring record. And it was just a delight to watch. She was cooking, the handles were going, the pull-up was working, everything was just clicking. It was a brilliant performance, and she became the first player in league history to drop 40 plus on 80% shooting. Um, Nothing to take away from that. But in that moment, it feels like she painted a massive target on her back. And since that happened, it feels like as if the WNBA defenses have taken guarding her a little bit more personally. And the welcome to the league stuff became something different. And it feels more tactical now. So after that 44-point game, there's been an adjustment. And now I have to look at the actual, you know, I had to look at the actual whole synopsis of this whole situation. But it seems like coaches, to me, when I look at it, made a decision. And it's the ultimate respect, really, when you start getting guarded the way Paige has been. And we're talking about defensive schemes that are completely tilted to stop her. And she's getting blitzed on pick and rolls at one of the highest rates in the league. And the kind of aggressive coverage usually saved for MVP candidates. And this isn't just playing hard, it's a strategic plan to wear a player down, not just physically, but mentally. And it's gotten to the point where her own coach, Chris, which we'll get to that clip in a minute, um, is getting frustrated at asking how many times she has to get thrown to the floor before calls are made. Now, we know that statement is not something new. We heard it with Caitlin Clark, and we heard it with many other coaches speaking on behalf of their players, and it becomes a familiar tune across the league. And you can see it in the game. They're swarming her. That's a lot of defenders in her direction on every play. Now, and in fairness, the Wings are still figuring things out and don't have a ton of other players who can consistently make defenses pay for that. And they're last in the standings for a reason, and that's not Paige Bucker's fault. But this is the reality she's facing. And the question is this just basketball or is it just one piece of a much bigger picture? So now I want you guys to hear what Neke Ukwemeke had to say. Ukwemeke had to say that plays for Seattle, in which Paige Buckers was paying against the Seattle, as we know that Paige Buckers played for the Dallas Swings. But anyway, let's check out what he had to say because this is my proof to substantiate my point that the coaches tilted towards a plan to wear her
You
down.
want to make someone else score besides Paige. How do you guys think you're going to keep her below her average?
It means 5 people are guarding her. You know, she deserves that type of respect, so we have to make sure that everyone's paying attention at all times.
Exactly. You want to
5 people are guarding her. So I just wanted you guys to hear that. So then when you look at this, right? And this is from the Golden State Rockies coach answer to the Page question post game, right? And basically it says in quotes, we matched Kayla Charles up with her cause. We matched Kayla Charles up with her because Paige just had a 44-point game. We all watched it. We all saw her. She is an elite scorer in this league. Rookie or no rookie, that's impressive what she's been doing. Just her ability to do the step back, the floaters, the deep threes. We knew it was going to be a team effort. So we matched her up with K. Charles But at the end of the day, too, it was team defense. Just credit to our whole team being locked in because she is not an easy coverage. She demands a lot of attention. So again, just credit to the team, especially without fouling is huge. So there you guys have it. And this is the literally four of them. And the fifth player is sitting deep in the paint, in the middle of the paint, sagged off. So literally, where are you gonna go? You have no choice but to give up the ball in this scenario in case. Then they even was guarding her as if they were married to her. Like, you know how usually when guys basketball, they'll say, yo, stick your man like he your wife. In this case, it's stick your wife as if she's your wife. Because she literally had one arm to play with, and that's how close up they was on her. And now don't get me wrong, man to man is man to man. But sheesh, they was playing no games. The plan was the plan, and they stick to it. And Charles was committed to the whole strategic play given to her by her coach. So when you look at these things, and this is her coach, which we'll get to in a minute on the Dallas Wings, talking about Paige being guarded. But you know the pressure on a player like Paige doesn't just stop when the game ends. That's usually when the next wave starts. And every single box score gets put under a microscope, and every night is a referendum. And she's constantly being compared to her peers, especially Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, who've been dealing with their own level of media hype. And the same spotlight that builds you up is the one that burns you when you have an off night. So Paige has even talked about the pressure on other players, calling what someone like Clark faces inhumane. And she said that if a player like that doesn't go 8 for 10 from three, people start questioning everything, and that it's unfair. And while now she's in that same boat. You see the comments online anytime she has acquired a game. That's what happens when she gets guarded like Caitlin Clark gets guarded, right? That's what people are saying. And then you have the veteran dynamic because the WNBA is a league full of legends who had to fight for every bit of respect they have. And there's an unwritten rule that rookies, no matter who they are, have to earn their spot. And it's a rite of passage. But when you come in with the level of fame Paige has, that rite of passage can feel more like a trial by fire. And it's this weird paradox. Vets and coaches need you to be great right away, but they also remind you to be patient and learn. Perform perfectly, but also know your place is a psychological tightrope. So look, just making a roster in this league is incredibly hard. And this is one of the most competitive leagues in the world. But you're not just fighting for minutes on the court, you're fighting to keep your job from the moment you're drafted. And that environment creates a certain kind of toughness, but it's also a huge source of pressure for a young player just trying to get their feet wet. So this is the reality of being a modern day superstar in the WNBA. And it's a battle on all fronts. And if you want to see more deep dives that go beyond the box score, and get into the real stories in sports, make sure you subscribe to the channel because we're going to get to the heart of it. But let's connect the dots here because you got the physical targeting on the court and you got the intense media pressure off the court and you have the hyper competitive nature of the league itself. So when you put it all together, it stops looking like a bunch of separate challenges and starts to look like a calculated test, which we all are tested in life. And the test is the very thing to prove or show, or is basically testing you to see if you really want what you truly want. And in this case, I believe with Paige Bueckers, if she really wants to be great, this is a test. And this isn't some big conspiracy because it's more of an unspoken understanding in the league and the opponents, the media, the vets, they're all asking the same fundamental question in their own way. Is Paige Bueckers just a great scorer, or is she just a true franchise cornerstone? And can she handle the bad press? Can she lead when things get tough? And can she take the physical punishment every night and still be an elite player? Because being a legend is about more than just talent. It's about resilience. It's about how you carry yourself, and it's about character. And think about the business side of it. The WNBA is growing, and players like Paige are a huge reason why. And the drama, the struggle, the story of a young star facing all this adversity, that's compelling, and it sells tickets and drives conversation. And there's almost a built-in interest in seeing her struggle because the story of her overcoming that struggle is what builds a legacy that people want to follow. And this whole test forces a player to get better at things they have nothing to do with that has nothing to do with a crossover. It forces you to be smart in press conferences, to be mentally tough enough to ignore the noise, and to be a leader who can hold a locker room together. And the on-court pressure is meant to disrupt her game, and the off-court pressure is meant to test her spirit. And it's the ultimate trial designed to forge the next face of the league. The only question is whether it forges her or breaks her. So how is Paige actually handling all of this? Because I know people are talking trash and they're basically saying, and I'm gonna show you guys in a minute. Oh, she scored what about 9 points and she dropped 44 that night, but obviously she can't sustain it. It's not sustainable. And people go on and on and on and on about it, right? And that's the test, right? Because it's plenty of players. Let's take the NBA for example. Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, they took a lot of shots, but they only talk about the shots that won games and the shots that win. They missed a lot of shots. So for her just to miss to make 9 points in a game, and in the first half she had 0 points, it happens, man. You have off nights. It comes with the territory. I mean, you're gonna have success where it shoots up, and then you're gonna come down, but you're gonna know how to get back up because you already, shot up to being successfully um being successful, just period. You know what I'm saying? Because once you go down, you already know how to pick yourself back up. That's why a lot of successful people saying, look, that's why a lot of successful people say it's not hard for them to start over. It was just hard for them to first reach that level of success, but now they know how to reach it. You can script them away, but you can't script their mentality, which is the gold mine. So it's the same thing with Paige Bueckers. She might have a 9 point game, but that doesn't mean she don't have the mentality to push through, to drive and be resilient. So how is Paige actually handling all this? This might be the most impressive part of her rookie season so far. And she's not breaking, she's adapting, she's not complaining, she's taking it on. And after one of those physical games, she was pretty straightforward about it. I'm human. Sometimes I let my emotions get the best of me. And I'm just in terms of all the physicality, but that's let go. But I gotta get used to it, gotta embrace it. So that's not weakness, that's maturity. It's that next play mentality that coaches love, and she's learning to read the pressure. And instead of forcing things, she's making smart, quick passes to counter the traps and the blitzes. And she gets that this is the price you pay for being great. But it's her perspective that really says it all. Because after the record breaking 44-point game ended in a tough loss, she wasn't focused on the record. She just said, this team just means so much to me, and what we're building here just makes me so happy. So her coach has even pointed out how, as a rookie, she's been a leader who has helped kept the team together through the rough patches. And this is going to be adjustment for Buckers. And how does she respond and deal with this long term? We only have a small sample size since the 44-point game, but just like that one game isn't how she'll play every night, these recent struggles aren't all you can chalk up to her being shut down. But I do find it interesting that there seems to be a cause and effect between a huge game and the level of defensive pressure she's facing now. And she's learning that you have to give yourself grace, know you aren't perfect, and that you're going to be going through ups and downs. And as long as you keep learning and growing, that's all you can do. So I'll get to the big question in a minute, but I want you guys to hear what her head coach had to say, because the question was, how many times does she have to be on? Well, he said, her head coach said, how many times does she have to be on the ground for us to start protecting her and cleaning up the physicality? Check it out.
Coach, what do you make of how Paige handled not only just the coverage that was thrown at her, but also just the frustration with officiating?
Yeah, to that point, again, like it was extremely physical out there, and I think, not when she's attacking the rim, and she was attacking the rim and playing in the paint downhill. For her to only go to the free throw line 2 times, something's off there. For her to play downhill and as hard as she did, and with all the fouls in the game and all that physicality, for her to only go 2 times, I don't agree with that. But credit to Paige for continuing to stick with it. She just has a next play mentality and doesn't let that. You'll see it in stretches, but she can get to that next play pretty quickly. And then too, just credit to P for them. They threw a bunch of different coverages at her, right? They're going to throw multiple bodies at her, and she's going to make the right play, right? So 9 assists on a night when probably didn't get enough attempts, but it's tough when they're throwing tons of bodies at you. And you heard Maisha say it as well, right? Like, other people around just have to step up and make some shots too. So,
all right, I'm gonna leave it there. But the big question, The pressure on Paige Bueckers is real, as we know, and it's coming from everywhere. And the physical play from opponents, the constant analysis from the media, and the weight of being a top pick. All are part of a larger unspoken test. It's a test of her skill, her mentality, and her character. But what we're seeing isn't just a player surviving the pressure. We're watching a young woman define herself because of it. And she's showing that real strength isn't about being impossible to break, it's about being resilient. It's about leading with grace and focusing on getting better, even when you're in the middle of a storm. So I'll leave you with this question. Is this intense pressure cooker environment a necessary part of forging a WNBA legend, or is it a toxic welcome that risk burning out its brightest stars before they even get a chance to truly shine? Let me know down in the comments below what you think. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give this video a big thumbs up. On that note, family, peace.